Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Today we're going to be organizing Expeditions, designed by Jamie Stonemaier and published by Stonemaier Games. This is a fully sleeved Ironclad edition of the game with no lid lift that's organized to get gameplay started as soon as possible, as well as facilitate the game while it's being played. If you have any questions about what you see here, please let me know down in the comments below, and for links to everything that I talk about in this video, please take a look in the description. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow, and for those of you already subscribed, thank you so much for the continuous support. Let's get started organizing Expeditions. Let's lift off the lid, and inside you'll see that we have our rulebooks on top. There are two separate rulebooks for the game, our standard Expeditions rulebook, and then our Automa rulebook for allowing you to play with an artificial player. Continuing on, you'll have your base game board that you'll set at the bottom of the play area, followed by your achievement sheet, where you can chalk up some special achievements to different players, and then make sure that they're remembered for doing these awesome things. Next up is the included plastic insert, and it is a fantastic insert. It's got places for pretty much everything, but it is a little bit of tight, this lid here, so my recommendation is to pull from the sides. I find that's the easiest way to actually take it off. I'll put my finger on the bottom corner like so, and lift it off, move to that next corner, and then that will lead me to this top section, like so. We'll tackle the insert from top to bottom, moving from left to right, starting off with all of your minis. So these are all of your mechs, and they do have a specific order in which they'll be stored, because some of them are a bit larger size than the others. So this large one will go on the right, but an easy reference is actually on the side of your game here. So if you need to see which one belongs in which specific space, there's a great reference on the side of the box to tell you which character goes in which tray. Next up, you'll have your two card wells that will store all of your standard size cards for the game. You have three distinct types of cards, starting off with all of your standard cards, and these are going to be your quest cards, your item cards, as well as your Meteorite cards. So they've got that purple background that you can see here, and then on the front they have some beautiful artwork that will all have their descriptions on the bottom, their core values, and then any other associated values on the side here. For example, those quest values, or if you've got the meteors, those extra scoring conditions, and then if they're items, they've got that little symbol in the bottom left that will give you the effect when you play them, plus that permanent passive ability once you've activated them. So those are all of the purple background cards, and we're also going to have more in that other well there. Moving on to our left stack of cards, you'll have all of your starting cards. Now these are indicated by that seal on the back, and each of them will have an associated character and companion pair marked by a Roman numeral. And this is going to be the same for all of your starting cards, and they'll come with their own set of companion and characters. So based on whoever wants to play what, get your associated starting cards into your starting hand there. Next up, you'll have all of your reference cards for the game. They come in two different types. This first type has the description of all the actions, the end game trigger, as well as a more complicated action description on the back here. And then you'll have a reference card that has all of your clarification on iconography. This is going to be on cards as well as on tiles on the board and give you an explanation of what those actually do. On the back, you'll have more explanations on acquiring cards, and if you want, playing in lower player count games, you can give one of each of these and have them flip one to one side, one to the other, so you have all of the icons at your disposal. In higher player count games, you're just going to have to get the one and then flip back and forth between the two sides. And then lastly, you'll have the remaining purple backed cards here. Once again, these are your quest, Meteorite, and item cards. They just don't all fit in one of those stacks when they're fully sleeved. Now's a good time to talk about the sleeves that I use for this game. I use the Ultra Pro Pro Matte Standard Deck Protector sleeves. They fit all of your standard size cards perfectly, and they've got a matte finish on the front side here, and then more of a glossy finish on the back. I do enjoy using these sleeves for most of my games, but some people do not like this little marker in the corner. You can faintly see it, and it does obscure some of the text, so I do have a second recommendation for you. And that second recommendation comes in the form of the Gamegenic Standard Card Game matte sleeves. They still got that matte finish on the front, but that icon is removed from the bottom, and then both sides will have that matte finish. I really enjoy these sleeves, and I'm feeling myself leaning more towards getting these matte sleeves as I play, so I do recommend that pick the one that you like the most, that handles the best, or maybe you're just trying something new, go ahead and grab either of these sleeve sets. I'll make sure to leave the card count for all of the standard size cards in this game in the description of the video, so that way when you're buying your sleeves, you can make sure to get the appropriate amount for the best value and the best fit for you. And lastly, in these wells, we have some silica gel packets for freshness. Moving on to this hexagonal storage area, you'll have all of your map tiles for the game. They are going to be separated based on their backs here. So these are all the southern tiles, and you're actually going to sort of stagger them so they're easier to pull out with your finger in this side. So you'll have your southern tiles, your central tiles, and then lastly, you're going to have your northern tiles. They all just come out by simply putting your finger in there and then lifting them like so. So we have your northern, your central, and then your southern, and they're also going to be organized on the game board in that specific way, starting from that base camp. Continuing on the left side, you'll have all of your mech mats for the game. Go ahead and distribute these to the different players, and they represent one of those metal miniatures. I do want to quickly mention the riser stickers that are included in your copy of Expeditions. These are stickers that you'll actually affix to the back of your mats, because throughout the game you'll be tucking cards underneath your mats. This rises the mats just a little bit so you can more easily slide your cards under. You don't have to affix them if you're not having this issue, but I do think that it's helpful for playing on any different type of playing surface, and there's an explanation of them on page 2 of the rulebook. Underneath the mech mats, you'll have your resources for the game, and they do sort of serve as a lid to make sure they're not going to be bouncing around anywhere. One thing I love about this insert is it is removable. Put it into a central area where everybody can take from it. We have your metal coins in here. These are in different denominations, serving as your point tokens, and they match the similar scheme to the entire Scythe universe. You have your map tokens in here that you'll populate the board with, and you can gain throughout the game. And then lastly, you'll have your 20-point corruption token. Keep it separate because there's one specific tile that will summon this onto the board. We also have a simple D6 in here for determining start player, so just you don't need it, but you can definitely put it in there if you want. And then lastly, you'll have all of your workers that you can accumulate during the game to activate that ability on your cards as you play them. I do want to quickly mention redundant components. Since we are using the metal coins, we just have our cardboard coins in a plastic bag here. We're not actually storing it inside of the game box, as we have plenty of coins with the metal ones. But if you do want to keep the cardboard coins in this one as well, you can store them underneath this bag here. There's plenty of room if you would like to store the cardboard coins inside. Underneath that removable insert, you'll have your 2 remaining stacks of standard size cards. They are the same size as the other cards that we talked about, so they do use the same sleeves, but these are specifically for the Automa, so you may not use them as frequently unless you are playing with that automated player often. You can definitely move them to that other stack if you are using them frequently. There is room in that left side of the organizer there. Our cards are separated into 2 different backs. You have your green-backed cards. These are going to be your Glory, your Progress, and your Player Aide cards for the Automa, and then you'll have all of your purple cards here, which are the decision cards for the Automa. Go ahead and put them into those 2 distinct areas. And then we also have another silica gel packet in here for freshness, and it does rise the cards a little bit, so they're a bit easier to take out those green cards. Moving to the right, you'll have your corruption bag. This is just a cloth bag that you're going to store all of your corruption tokens inside. These are these orange and turquoise tokens that will populate the board as you're exploring. Just put them all in that bag, give it a good shuffle, and then set it to the side of your play area. And moving on to our last section, you'll have all of your colored player components. Go ahead and pick a color you'd like, take the matching bag, open it up, and then dump out all of your associated pieces that you'll need to start the game. Each set of components will include a base ring for your miniature, all of your glory tokens, your action token, and then a power and a guile token to fight off the specific types of corruptions you'll be gaining. So they do match those specific colors. Go ahead and make sure every player has those components, and they'll be ready to go. Each bag in this bottom right corner is identical except for the different colors of the rings and the tokens, but that power and guile token will be the same orange and turquoise color. So I'm not going to go ahead and go into each of these bags individually. And that is everything inside of our box. Let's go ahead and pack it up. Let's return our player components into that bottom right section, followed by your corruption bag. And remember, this is going to be filled with all of those corruption tokens, and you'll just kind of give it a fold in the center like so, and then one more fold on the side, and it'll fit nicely into that little organizer here. Next up, we'll return all of the Automa cards, starting off with our purple decision cards in this upper section, and then your Progress, Glory, and Player Aide cards in this bottom section. We'll then return our included component organizer in that bottom left, and then use all of your mech mats as lids, and they all fit snugly on top like so. Up next, we'll return all of our location tiles, starting off with all of our northern locations. Then we'll place our central locations, and do make sure to stagger them. And then we'll finish up with all of your southern locations. We'll return all of our purple-backed quest, meteorite, and item cards to that right section of our insert, followed by your remaining quest, item, and meteorite purple-backed cards, all of your reference cards, and then the seal-backed companion and character cards, your starting cards there. Those will go in that left side of that organizer. We'll return the plastic cover to the insert, and cover that with our achievement sheet and our base camp board, and wrap it up with the Automa and base game rulebook. And that is organizing expeditions. If you have any questions about what you saw here, please let me know down in the comments below. And once again, for links to everything that I talked about in this video, please take a look in the description. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, please make sure that you do. It is the best way to help us grow. And for those of you already subscribed, thank you so much for the continuous support. How do you organize your copy of Expeditions? What do you think of the game so far? Do Do you enjoy the card combo building that Expeditions has? Do you prefer the original Scythe? How does Expeditions serve as a sequel to Scythe? What do you think of all of the different characters, the mechs? I'd love to hear what you think. But thank you so much for watching. SideGame Strong.